never ever encountered, let alone heard of a type of being that looks like this.
And the pictures is it's hard to explain it because it almost looks like a representation of, opposed to an actual, if that makes sense. Almost like it's a cutout image of.
Like it's very well defined, like somebody created it.
Could be. That's why I said, like, I don't know if there's symbolism behind this, and this was just some kind of symbolism, and this means something to them, you know? Maybe somebody was meant to see that, you know, having to do with the report, and it was some kind of warning, or who knows? I don't know. But I'm looking at the picture, and, you know, it's not like an actual live flesh and blood picture of a static person. It's like if an artist made a static person.
Right, because it says underneath the photo, and I'm looking at the photo, it says CIA Shadow Man, and the number is on the image is 1569.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is ITC something. Who knows what it could be, but it is interesting, and the fact that this isn't a file is just weird.
There's a lot of weird in their files.
There was a lot of money spent that will never be accounted for on all this weird stuff, these weird projects. And I think sometimes they just launched projects because they could. They had funding, and if they didn't spend it, they'd lose it the next year. And so you got stray files, stray remnants, artifacts of projects like this that maybe didn't go anywhere. Maybe they did. Who knows? I've never heard of these either, Kat. These shadow people. Something to look into.
Well, there are shadow people.
There's all kinds of stuff on the CIA website that's had to been produced under Freedom of Information Act.
True.
And in the 1960s, mid-1960s, the CIA was working with scientists who were implanting electrodes into the brains of dogs to control them running around. They wanted robotic soldier dogs, basically, back in the 1960s. And most people never heard of that. That's pretty advanced tech. I mean, think of where they would be today, continuing that research forward even deeper out of the public eye.
Well, that is, but I do know that in paranormal investigation, there are shadow people. I've seen them, and I have caught shadows on video. So to me, that just is odd that this is what that's being presented as, because that's not a new phenomenon. Shadow people are not a new phenomenon. So
right.
That's why I'm trying to find the motivation for that.
It is weird that they call it shadow people, because it's totally not.
No.
I mean, when you look at it, it's like, that's not a shadow person.
Not at all. Not even close.
It's like a static person.
Right.
It looks like white noise in the shape of a person. With the face is all like kind of black. But that's only part of the whole body that's black, is where the
I gotta find
eyes and mouth.
Well, maybe they were playing around with, for them, new camera technologies, filtering and white for black, that sort of thing, negatives and positives, images.
Or maybe they can detect invisible things in a way that when you look at the monitor, it looks like static. Sorry.
Measuring electromagnetic field or aura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we got. I'm going to read one more short article because I want to give the next segment to Gene. And if you start now, we're not going to have enough time for you to read it and go around. Someone will get cut off. But this article I got, it's like 3 paragraphs. So just give us something to talk about until break. And it's something that this just happened. This is from the mountainreporter.com, February 6th. So this just happened too. Man claims extraterrestrials are to blame in Highway 18 rollover accident. Ooh, right?
Interesting.
I saw that.
Published by Raymond Ray. Okay. On Wednesday, February 6th, a solo vehicle accident occurred on Highway 18th above Red Rock Wall. A white Ford E350 van, for unknown reasons, overturned on Highway 18, landing on its side street, crossing the oncoming traffic lane. The van was traveling upbound towards Rimforest just after 1:34 p.m. According to the CHP transcripts of the original 911 call, the driver adamantly stated that his van was flipped over by aliens. Additionally noted that the CHP transcripts, the male driver became confrontational with bystanders and officers and stated that he did not want law enforcement on the scene and demanded a tow truck. The van laying on its side was not a traffic hazard, as it was not out in the roadway and it was not blocking traffic lanes. 3 California Highway Patrol units were on the scene. The man was not transported for his injuries, and his claims of alien intervention during the traffic accident are under investigation by the California Highway Patrol. Wow, that's it. But wow, right?
Wow, exactly.
So, this is one of them stories where you want to find more on it, was he on drugs, or was this or that, or maybe, it wouldn't be the first time someone was driving and like a bright light blinded them, or who knows what can happen. The odds are probably better, the odds favor that he's probably on something or lying, opposed to that actually happening, but it's not totally impossible.
The question to ask the driver is, what makes you think a UFO turned your car over? Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And in a case like this, like in our MUFON books, for instance, cars can physically be affected by UFOs. There can be traces left behind. Like, for instance, cars that have claimed to have UFOs right over them have experienced things like metal bending, like for instance, their antennas and stuff would be bent funny. Things of that nature, maybe radioactive readings or whatever. I'd be curious to see if there's anything like that with the vehicle that may substantiate anything, if there's anything odd, that would explain why this happened. The story really doesn't, it's almost more clickbait than anything else, but I do believe it happened. This looks totally legit. And
right.
This is, in a local publication in California or whatever. So,
right. But I would want to know, like, did you get a good look at the UFO? How close was it?
Yeah, exactly. Get a report.
Could you see any kind of a being inside it? What did you feel at the time? Did you experience missing time? These are stuff I would ask. I would sit there and just ask until I ran out of questions, because it makes you wonder. I'm not saying it's not possible, because it's very possible, and it's certainly not something we hear about every day. But at the same time, I would still have my questions.
Right. I would think if there were drugs or alcohol involved, it would be noted in this.
Yes.
And he didn't go to the hospital. And yeah, I'm looking. I can see the picture. I know you guys can't out in Radio Land, but it shows a picture of a van turned over on its side off the road, and it looks. I'm surprised he didn't get injured, to be honest. Looking at it.
I totally get his not wanting police involvement and just wanting a tow truck to get out of there.
That's you, right?
Because how do you file an insurance claim on damage to your vehicle because the UFOs did it?
Exactly.
The ETs did it in their UFO. It's like the cattle mutilations, animal mutilations, livestock. The ranchers have to say it was Satanists, demon worshippers, because they can't file and they can't collect on an insurance claim saying it was UFOs because there's no such thing, right?
Right. And I don't blame the guy for not wanting to come out much about it, aside from that, because all the ridicule and all the slack he would probably get from something like that. And with that, it's time for our next commercial break. You are listening to Paraversal Universe. We'll be right back after this.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Alrighty, we're back, everyone. This is Paraversal Universe on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, WCET-FM, and The Rift. We're your hosts, Kevin and Jennifer Malek, and we're glad you were with us, and it's nice to be back. We want to tell everyone that pretty soon here, we're going to offer the T-shirt for the logo and painting for Lake Monstrosities for purchase. The price has yet to be determined, but we will do what we can to keep costs down. I expect maybe $20 a shirt, white or black, top cotton quality, all that. Anyways, half the proceeds will go to charity and to the specific cause to help 7-year-old Daniel DeMisa, who suffers from Dravet syndrome and seizures on a regular basis. The other half of the proceeds will go to making more shirts to continue the endeavor. This is a son of our graphic art director, Lawrence DeMisa. Same little boy who painted our logo picture for Lake Monstrosities that we use to this very day. This is the most excellent way to give back to the DeMisa family for all the artwork and graphic art they provide us every week for the show. And of course, Lake Monstrosities, the largest social media group outlet dedicated to aquatic mysteries and wonders of all kinds. So look for those shirts coming up pretty soon here. It's a great group, a great artwork, and a great shirt for a charitable cause. Okay, the segment is brought to you by the 5-Star Reader Choice Award, winning epic fantasy trilogy Helm by Robert L. Malek. And we are back with the Paralogian Report on Paraversal Universe. And I will now pass the mic over to Jean, and she can take us to the next adventure story or whatever. Do we have Jean? Jean
Broida here with an introduction to the Robert Van den Broeke case, with a tip of the hat to our new producer, Kat Hobson, who's with us right here, right now. She mentioned Nancy Talbot with Nancy's BLT Research Team Incorporated. Nancy is an American crop